Look, think modern hack and slash games have gotten a little too, I don't know, predictable? Ask yourself this, when was the last time you played a Japanese salaryman where your primary weapons were a business briefcase and, get this, high-velocity business cards, right? That's the exact level of mechanical absurdity we're diving into today. Some are upcoming titles, and some you can literally play, like, now.
We have to kick things off with what I can only describe as a Kungfupunk matrix simulator. I am talking about Phantom Blade Zero. This thing is pure, blindingly fast, third-person cinematic martial arts, and honestly, the trailers look almost too good to be true. But here is the actual mechanical gold. The developers explicitly stated that they hand-animated every single block, parry, and deflection frame. Why does that matter? Because instead of watching standard recycled animation loops where swords just awkwardly bounce off each other, the clashes look like a choreography sequence from a $200 million action movie. It's fluid, it's ridiculously aggressive, and you are constantly shifting momentum. It actually forces you to play with this hyper-reactive mindset that completely throws off your usual muscle memory. They're promising a level of speed that makes standard character action games look like they're underwater. And if the mechanical flow holds up under actual controller stress, man, this is gonna absolutely ruin every other slasher on your backlog. Keep your eyes on this one, for real.
Okay, next up is the newly revealed sequel that apparently decided it was done with Sony's exclusive leash, Stellar Blade Blood Rain. Shift Up dropped this massive announcement at Summer Game Fest, and they are moving the chaos over to a post-apocalyptic, highly dense urban landscape. But the biggest vibe shift here, we have a new dual-wielding protagonist named Evie, and the combat is fundamentally pivoting, at least initially. The early footage shows a massive emphasis on heavy, raw, gauntlet-based mechanical punching before you even get to touch a proper blade. It looks way more frantic and physical than the first game. You are literally weaving inside an enemy's guard, detonating kinetic impact frames, and using directional counters to shattering their armor. It's a bold move, honestly. Swapping Eve's sleek parry loops for straight-up hand-to-hand brawling is a risk, but the density of the combat looks wild. If you love the precision of the original but secretly wanted to just punch a monster through a concrete wall, yeah, this is your game.
All right, this next one completely stole the show at the recent State of Play, and rumor has it we might be playing it early next year. I'm talking about God of War Laufey. You were playing as Kratos' late wife, Faye, tearing her way through the afterlife. But as a mechanical nerd, here is why your jaw should be on the floor. The developers are seemingly reintroducing the hyper-fast aerial juggling dynamics from the old-school Greek PS2 era. You know, the stuff the modern Norse games kind of abandoned for that grounded cinematic feel. Faye's magical axe and shield combat is incredibly fluid. You are literally launching Draugr into the air, teleport dashing to stay parallel with them, and executing multi-hit airborne strings that look absolutely ridiculous. It is the perfect marriage of modern over-the-shoulder impact weight with that classic floaty player expression. It's fast, it's angry, and honestly, watching a shield combat loop that actually values animation canceling is beautiful. Santa Monica is cooking something genuinely special here, and it's going to be a bloodbath.
Try again!
Insomniac is going full M-rated gore for Marvel's Wolverine. If you were expecting the floaty, arcade physics of Spider-Man, you are in for a shift. The focus here is entirely on directional claw counters and heavy forward momentum. The main feature of the combat loop is physics-based dismemberment. You have to read enemy attack trajectories, slip under their guards, and hit them with solid, grounded counter moves. It has a heavy Savage feel where your inputs have distinct consequences. You cannot simply mash light attacks and win. You need to use the environment and time your parries correctly to trigger powerful finishers. It is violent, direct, and mechanically different from anything the studio has made before. If they balance the story with pure character action fighting, it will be a standout title.
I was hoping for the redhead.
Nier Automata is a modern classic that you can play tonight. While casual players usually focus on the story, the main draw here is Platinum Games' combat engine. The sword fighting is an example of smooth, fast movement. You can instantly swap between heavy great swords and fast small swords mid-combo, while your support pod shoots continuous cover fire. The dodge mechanic is very responsive. Dodging right before an attack hits causes your character to vanish into a particle effect, letting you instantly reappear behind an enemy's hitboxes for a counterattack. It feels sleek, clean, and fast. The game design works efficiently, and the way the viewpoint shifts during major boss fights tests your spatial awareness cleanly. To get the most out of the combat, you also need to customize your character using the plug-in chip system. This allows you to adjust your build by adding passive perks like health recovery on kills, increased movement speed, or automatically slowing down time during a perfect dodge. It gives you complete control over your defensive windows. It remains a highly responsive slasher that holds up against any action game today.
Let's look at how the fighting works in Code Vein 2. Bandai Namco changed the feel of the combat for this sequel to make your character move much faster. The big change is how they updated the special powers, which are called gifts. Now you can stop the slow animation of a heavy weapon swing early by immediately using a magic attack or a quick dodge. For example, you can swing a large sword down on an enemy, cut the animation short, dash right behind them, and hit them with a magic spell before they can react. This stops the combat from feeling slow and heavy. However, a major complaint about this game is its open world. Honestly, the open world aspect feels completely irrelevant and unrewarding. It forces you to run across massive, empty spaces that just break up the pacing. The game would actually benefit so much more from a traditional linear level design that keeps you moving directly from one fight to the next. The game came out at the start of 2026, so you can see how it plays right now.
Let the world hear you!
Koei Tecmo reset the franchise with Dynasty Warriors Origins. They threw away the old arcade style where you easily defeat thousands of identical soldiers with 2 buttons. Instead, the update changes the core dynamic. You actually have to read enemy formations now. The combat loop focuses on tight tactical precision and distinct one-on-one officer fights. You have to manage parry timing, weapon deflections, and posture breaking. If you try to run into a crowd and button mash, the enemy line will surround you and shut down your attacks instantly. You also need to pay close attention to your army's morale gauge. Completing small objectives across the battlefield, like capturing supply bases or rescuing allied officers, directly boosts your troops' fighting ability. If your morale drops too low, your soldiers will automatically retreat, leaving you completely exposed to incoming enemy attacks. It is grounded, features hundreds of active troops on screen, and adds genuine weight to the fighting. It turns a simple crowd-clearing game into a high-stakes, position-based action title.
Hades 2 is officially out on home consoles and Xbox Game Pass. It uses a top-down perspective, but the core design is pure hack and slash. The protagonist, Melanoe, trades straightforward weapon stabs for a fast, magic-infused approach to fighting. The gameplay relies on a clear push and pull rhythm. You use magic casts to trap groups of enemies, sprint to quickly change your position, and use fast-bladed special attacks. The game also features a deep collection of permanent upgrades at the crossroads. By gathering resources on your runs, you can unlock powerful passive perks from the Arcana altar and brew incantations that fundamentally alter your abilities, ensuring you grow stronger even when you fail. The general pacing is rapid and continuous. Every run forces you to create combo combinations that test your positioning and layout knowledge to the limit. The handling is highly responsive, the upgrade paths are deeply planned, and the game consistently delivers smooth action pacing. It is easy to download on multiple platforms right now.
Was betrayal.
If you want an upcoming slasher that looks like an anime but moves with heavy metal weight, first Berserker Khazan needs to be on your list yesterday. Set in the Dungeon Fighter Online universe, this cel-shaded masterpiece looks absolutely stunning in motion. But don't let the pretty anime art style fool you. The combat here is brutally punishing. It takes the ultra-tight, high-stakes block and counter rhythm of a game like Sekiro and smash cuts it into massive screen-clearing character action combos. Your stamina and guard meters are constantly under threat. You are forced to precisely time your deflections to break an enemy's posture, which then unlocks these incredibly cinematic, hyper-violent execute animations. It's got this fantastic visceral crunch to the swordplay where you can physically feel the impact of every single parried strike. It's challenging, it's mechanically airtight, and it perfectly bridges the gap between tactical defensive play and explosive anime power fantasy. Keep a massive eye on this one, because it's shaping up to be an absolute sleeper hit.
My friend.
Let's talk about the absolute undisputed king of stance switching that you can play right this second, Black Myth Wukong.
This game is a mechanical marvel, mostly because ditching traditional bladed weapons for a magical staff completely redefines how you approach defensive frames. You don't have a traditional parry button here. Instead, you build up a kinetic focus meter by pulling off flawless, frame-perfect dodges at the very last microsecond. Once that meter is cooking, that's where the magic happens. You are instantly fluid swapping between 3 distinct combat stances, pillar, thrust, and smash, to totally alter your hitboxes and spacing. You can literally extend your staff to sit above an enemy's ground sweeping attacks, then instantly transition into a world-ending vertical overhead smash. It's fast, it's deeply technical, and the boss designs are a relentless test of your timing and situational awareness. It is a massive, visually stunning masterpiece that respects your intelligence and completely rewards aggressive, high-skill expression. If you haven't touched this yet, fix that tonight. Now look, I know we just talked about the massive sequel announcement earlier in the list, but hear me loud and clear. The original Stellar Blade is still a mandatory, non-negotiable play tonight. Beyond all the internet discourse about the visuals, this game succeeds entirely because its core boss design is a mechanical masterpiece. It essentially plays like an intense, hyper-responsive rhythm game disguised as a gorgeous third-person slasher. The entire combat loop revolves around mastering the precise timing of your perfect parries and flawless dodges. But the real peak serotonin hits when you nail the blink and repulse mechanics, which literally require you to flash directly through an enemy's unblockable killing blow to shred their posture from behind. It feels incredibly crisp, rewarding, and punchy. The skill tree lets you organically weave these massive beta and burst energy attacks directly into your basic sword strings without breaking a sweat. It is easily one of the best action games of the decade, so don't wait for the sequel. Play it right now. Look, we have to talk about the absolute king of player combo freestyling. Years later, and honestly, literally nothing touches the mechanical ceiling of Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. Like, at all. Most action games give you a combo list and you just sort of follow the buttons, right? But DMC5? It expects you to be an actual conductor. Take Virgil's Judgment Cut End. Executing that frame-perfect release rhythm is pure serotonin. Or just Dante's real-time style switching. You're swapping from Trickster to Royal Guard mid-air, canceling an animation, parrying an attack, and immediately blasting them with a shotgun. It's insane. It is completely insane. The game doesn't just care that you won the fight, it actually scores you on how beautifully you executed the enemy. If your gameplay looks boring, the music literally tones itself down. That's the level of disrespect we're talking about here. It's the ultimate playground for people who actually care about the math and the art of character action. If you haven't pushed your hands to the absolute limit on this thing yet, man, what are you even doing?
You a demon?
Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is a classic action game, and its main mechanic is still incredible today. That feature is Blade Mode. The action slows down time so you can manually control the exact horizontal and vertical angles of your sword cuts. You can slice an enemy into individual pieces in real time, take their battery core, and move to the next target. This precision system also lets you target specific enemy armor vulnerabilities and cut down incoming environmental missiles mid-air, turning defensive situations into instant offensive opportunities. It is fluid, fast, and feels highly satisfying. The parry mechanic is not a passive block. You must push your control stick directly toward the incoming attack to execute a counter slice. It forces you to play with an aggressive forward momentum mindset. The game is loud, direct, and best of all, it doesn't take itself seriously.
What would an AI know about freedom?
Everything sync up with the beat. Let's rock.
All right, let's talk about a literal miracle of game design that you need to play. Hi-Fi Rush. This is a third-person slasher where the entire universe, and I mean everything, from your sword swings to the enemy attack patterns and the environmental hazards, is entirely synced to a live rock and roll audio track. Now, you can't actually fail your combos if you miss the beat, but hitting the physical rhythm perfectly adds massive damage modifiers, extends your juggle strings, and rewards you with these spectacular crowd-clearing beat hits. It turns traditional character action combat into a living, breathing music video.
You are literally timing your dodges and parries to the baseline, animation canceling into a companion assist on the snare drum, and finishing off an automated robot drone right as the chorus hits. It feels incredibly satisfying, bright, and endlessly kinetic. It is easily one of the most creative, polished, and unironically joyful hack-and-slash games ever made. If you haven't experienced this rhythmic masterpiece yet, seriously, go fix that immediately.
Oh, hold on, did you just feel that? That beat?
Look, I know a lot of people completely lost their minds when Team Ninja finally dropped Ninja Gaiden 4 last year, but honestly, it completely deserved the hype. They managed to take that absolute hardcore legacy difficulty and somehow, perfectly modernize it for the current generation. Ryu Hayabusa still moves with this lethal, instantaneous response time, but the real mechanical star is the new posture-shredding deflection loop. You are actively timing block frames to deflect incoming weapon strikes, which then instantly feeds into your combo gauge for these massive, screen-clearing multi-weapon strings. It's fluid, it's ridiculously aggressive, and it forces you to play with this hyper-reactive mindset. It completely rewards high skill expression. The limb-severing mechanics are back too, meaning the moment you take an arm off an enemy, you can instantly animation cancel into a brutal execution finisher. It's fast, it's bloody, and it turns every encounter into a high-stakes test of discipline. If you missed out on this release during the packed 2025 schedule, seriously, do yourself a favor and fix that tonight. It is a pure, uncompromising action triumph.
Knave! What did you do to Lyria?
Okay, imagine taking the flashy, over-the-top character action combat of Devil May Cry and seamlessly dropping it into a cooperative endgame boss raiding loop like Monster Hunter. That is exactly what Granblue Fantasy Relink accomplishes, and it is a total blast to play. The absolute best part about this game is the sheer variety on the roster. We're talking over 20 playable characters, and every single one of them plays like they were imported from a completely different action franchise. You can swap from a character who relies entirely on precise Sekiro-style parry frames to another who plays like a high-speed Kingdom Hearts aerial juggler to a heavy stance switcher. The combat is endlessly kinetic, flashy, and visually spectacular with screen-clearing particle effects. When you and 3 other players link your combo gauges together to unleash a full-party burst finisher on a massive raid boss, man, it is pure dopamine. It is easily the best translation of anime action into a cooperative RPG space, and you should absolutely grab some friends, if you have any, and have some fun tonight.
Where were you when I needed you the most?
It is time for the absolute ultimate hidden gem on Steam that I guarantee 90% of you completely missed. It's called Assault Spy. Imagine an office space corporate satire, but it's secretly a hyper-polished, lightning-fast Devil May Cry clone. You play as a corporate spy fighting waves of rogue killer robots inside a massive skyscraper, and your primary weapons are a weaponized business briefcase and literally throwing business cards at high velocity. Now, it sounds completely ridiculous, and it is, but the mechanical engine under the hood here is unironically incredible. The dash canceling, the launcher loops, and the animation cancels are some of the smoothest, most responsive systems in indie history. You can literally execute a heavy briefcase smash, dash cancel out of the recovery frames, execute a mid-air juggle string, and finish it with a formal corporate bow to reset your combo score. It is incredibly fast, charmingly goofy, and a total mechanical triumph for anyone who values pure high-speed player expression. Go find it on Steam, seriously. Wuchang Fallen Feathers offers solid, aggressive pacing. Set during the Ming Dynasty, you play as a warrior dealing with a feather curse. From a combat perspective, here is the twist. That infection functions directly as your magic gauge. This setup forces you to play with a highly aggressive mindset. You have to constantly engage in fast dual-blade attacks and execution loops to clear the infection before it drains your actual health pool. You must also master dynamic weapon swapping mid-fight. Switching between your primary twin blades and heavy secondary weapons allows you to break enemy poise frames quickly and adapt your strategy to counter different defensive armor types. This setup removes the passive, defensive weighting that slows down other dark fantasy titles. The weapon deflections feel crisp, and the combat mixes tight parrying with high-risk magic management. It is a highly responsive action game that rewards skill over button mashing, and it is fully available to play tonight.
action game that bridges the gap between fast combat and crowd clearing, check out Fate Samurai Remnant. The design is clean, and the combat loop is structured around stance switching. You swap between a fast, dual-blade water stance for clearing out groups of regular soldiers, and a heavy earth stance focused on precise parrying and breaking the defense gauges of powerful enemy officers. You also need to manage your tactical spell selection using the game's gemstone economy. These magic spells allow you to temporarily buff your defense, heal mid-battle, or pierce straight through an aggressive boss's hyper armor windows when your standard sword strikes aren't doing enough damage. The key feature is the tag team dynamic. You can instantly command your magical partner Saber to perform large cooperative attacks that look great in motion. This elevates the traditional style of these games into a tactical, responsive character action loop. It has satisfying sword clashing mechanics and is a great option to jump into right now. Finally, let's close things out with the perfect wildcard hidden gem for your weekend catalog. Soulstice is an excellent dark fantasy title for fans of classic character action games. You simultaneously control two sisters bound to one body. Briar, who handles heavy greatsword attacks, and her ghostly sister Lute, who acts as your real-time magical shield. The core combat requires you to manage Lute's automated defenses to open up enemy lines while Briar executes massive sweeping airborne combos. It uses a dynamic viewpoint that captures the high challenge of old-school action titles. While the viewpoint can occasionally be a struggle in tight corridors, the depth of the combo system and the rhythm between the two characters is strong for an indie title. It is accessible across platforms and serves as a solid choice for action purists. That's it. That is the definitive list for anyone who actually cares more about maintaining an air combo than, actually winning. But before you head out, check out these videos on screen. Honestly, they might help you find something to occupy your time while we're all collectively waiting for GTA 6 to finally drop. Like always, do me a solid. Hack that subscribe button, slash that like on your way out, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one.